Hey, what's up everyone? With hunting season coming up, I want to show you an absolutely bonkers hunting scope. Today we'll be looking at the Primary Arms GLx 2.5 to 10 scope with the Griffin reticle. And it also makes a crazy battle rifle setup. I'll show you. All right, let's do this. So the 2.5 to 10 primary arms scope with the Griffin reticle is probably one of the best battle rifle and hunting scopes that I think are out there. And yeah, that's a pretty bold claim. And yes, we'll go through why I think it's so great. The first thing I want to note on this scope though is it is in first focal plane. And I know we've gone into some detail of some of the differences between first focal plane and second focal plane, but for all of the new viewers out there, let's do a quick refresher. First focal plane means the reticle changes size as the scope changes in magnification. This means all of your mil hashes or BDC markings remain true and accurate for the entire magnification range. But this means your reticle is like very, very small at 1x. And this is what makes 1 to 10 power LPVOs challenging to use without a really unique and often very expensive reticle solution that actually works at 1x and you can actually see. When you want a fancy reticle at max range, first focal plane is great on an LPVO. But then every scope company struggles with how to make it not shrink down to a glob of goo when you go down to 1x. So then our Primary Arms 2.5 to 10 just chops off that 1x and we just start at 2.5. There's also some magic that happens here with physics wizardry, where the eye relief becomes astoundingly better at both 10x and 2.5 when compared to an LPVO. So then you get a scope with an insane eye relief and then drops off those magnification ranges that the LPVOs generally struggle with anyway. Now, in a tactical or force-on-force scenario, you would likely want the 1x. Even if it's hard to see, at least you'd have something. And you could easily add an offset red dot cheaply to cover that 1x range, far better than most LPVOs would. And a red dot combined with a mid-range scope with absolutely bonkers eye relief, well, that becomes pretty scary in a tactical situation. And it's just as crazy using in a hunting situation. And we'll explore both uses as we go through this scope. For instance, while hunting, we could just ditch the red dot for 1x and just use the scope. Because hunting, well, that kind of changes the game a little bit. It'll be far less likely, though it does happen, that an animal will come up and be 3 yards away from you. And the loss in magnification range of the 1x on the scope isn't really an issue to me, as I find the insane improvement in eye relief to be far more valuable. But if you're worried there was that perfect animal that you had to take that close range shot at, don't worry. It's still simple and easy. And when we get to the end, we'll go to the range and I'll show you more about using this scope in close rapid engagements and how it performs incredibly well. But the magic that makes this an absolutely crazy battle rifle and hunting scope is because of one insane thing that's on the scope, the reticle. And I don't want to ruin this absolutely insane bit of the scope, but this is the magic here. And it takes this scope to the top of the tier when it comes to a mid-range optic that can also perform incredibly well at close range. Anyway, let's get started. I got a whole bunch of things I want to go over. So today we'll get started with what comes in the box. Then we'll mount it all up on our worn 1.93 mount and then go into the details of the Griffin reticle and why I think it's one of the best primary arms reticles that's currently available. Then we'll do a series of scope tests, and then finally we'll do some shooting out on the range to see how it does in both close and longer ranges. And then we'll finish up with my pros, cons, and if I recommend it. Tell you what though, let's get started though, and let's see what all comes in the box. All right, so here's the actual box that a GLx comes in. Looks pretty nice. You see it's marked the 2.5 to 10 and the first focal plane that we talked about earlier. What else is on the box here? Okay, so we have all the stats and all the numbers in case you want to know the specifications. And then we have the actual magic of this Griffin reticle. I'll show you how ridiculous this Griffin is. Just trust me. All right, let's get the scope out. All right, let's pop these tabs off and we get the actual optic out. Wait, what is this?
Ooh, okay, so here's the actual first instruction manual with the Griffin reticle. It shows the chevron tip for close quarter shooting. Ooh, how to lead your target. There's little dots if they're running. That's interesting to know. All right, what else do we got? Ooh, and the actual holdovers that are built in, so it still has those on there. Oh, and then look at this. We have horizontal ranging on the actual hash marks themselves. Oh, and then we also have vertical ranging. God, that's so awesome to see.
Did you see that? Vertical and horizontal ranging right on the reticle. It gets crazier though.
All right, so what else is in here? Okay, you can actually use the mil hash marks if you actually want to estimate distance. This kind of shows you how to do some of that math if you're interested in how to do that. Gotta be a little fancy. All right, that's it for that manual though. What's in this one? Oh, these are the actual turrets. Wait, the whole turrets have their own manual? Okay, so that's interesting. All right, all the different specifications of the GLx series, how to get a clear reticle picture. Make sure to pay attention to this stuff, how to adjust the parallax, get everything set to your eye, how to set the illumination. Oh, okay, here we go. How to lock the turrets. All right, so we remove the top turret. Oh, okay, that's pretty easy. And then what do? Loosen these three.
So the instructions in the manual for setting the zero stop are super clear and concise. So just make sure to follow those if you want a detailed explanation on how to do it. I will show you how I set the zero stop though when we go through the actual turret test on the scope.
All right, looks like when we loosen these, it'll actually drop down to. And there's one that definitely says multiple times not to mess with.
I think the manual warns you like 80 times that there's one screw not to loosen. I'll remind you for the 81st time, don't loosen that one.
All right, and then you can actually adjust the screw if it doesn't go down far enough. I had to do this a little bit too. And then you just lift up the center ring and then lock it all back down and then put the cap back on. So it seems pretty straightforward. Just follow these instructions if you want to set everything up. And then you can do the windage too. Good grief, there's a whole bunch of different adjustments. It's all in the manual, just know it's in here. And yeah, okay. And then we have the GLX features and the actual specifications of our 2.5 to 10 if you're looking for that, as we showed on the box earlier. And lens care. Okay, yeah, that's about an end of this. Put that away. All right, let's get this actual optic out. Wait, what's this? Oh, look at this. We actually have the same caps that come with the PLX series, the little flip-up caps with the switch. I really like those. Is there another one? No, it's on the bottom. Hold on, I gotta lift this whole thing up just to get it out of here. Okay, so then here is the actual front one that just flips up. These are really nice. I've always been a fan of these. All right, let's get our actual optic out. We gotta take these little end pieces off. Get this one off, and then pull this stupid plastic off. All right, here's our actual optic. All right, look at how nice this is. Nice black finish. Look at the knurling on the actual knobs too. Like every single bit has some actual knurling to grip onto. God, that's really nice. Okay, see, look at the diopter. Even the diopter has this rubberized coating on it. Oh, look how smooth this is. I love seeing it when the diopter is actually easy to move. It tells me everything else is going to be nice. Looking at the magnification, the 10 and the 2.5, looks like about a 75 to 80 degree throw. That's super easy and smooth. And that little tiny little notch for a throw lever, that just works. I would want something bigger maybe. I don't know. It seems to be fine. Look at these turrets though. Was it locks in place? Oh, so you got to press the button to actually unlock it, and then you can move it around it. Oh, and it locks back in place. That's pretty awesome.
I really like how the actual turret stayed locked. Like if you're out in the field, you don't have to worry about your actual scope turrets getting bumped and then losing your zeros. And you don't have to worry about those jerk buddy of yours that like to mess with your turrets and throw off your zero.
And does the windage do the same thing? Yep, you just press the button, and it locks back to center. Okay, so if you go left or right, it's still going to move back to center. Those clicks are nice and clean though. There's not any real slop in that. I'm kind of surprised. Okay, so you can actually go down 5, it looks like. So you can go down 5 and then still go up the normal ones. Okay, what about the actual parallax? Yep, it's nice and knurled. Oh, this is nice. Okay, so we can go down to infinity and then go all the way to 20. Oh, okay, we can go less than 25. That's surprising. So there's a lot of movement here. Okay, what about the illumination? So 10 illumination segments, and looks like there's an off stop in between each one. Super strong turn. You're not gonna have to worry about this getting bumped or anything. Checking our battery compartment. Look at how it has the knurling on the battery compartment, so you don't need the stupid coin in order to open it. There's our 2032 battery. It has this neat little cover thing that actually connects onto this piece. I don't know why it was off. I fixed that later. And then if you can look, whoa, wait, hold on. Did you see that? You can already see the optic. Look at this eye relief. Holy moly. What if we move this optic in and look at that? Look at that. That's ridiculous.
All right, so we've seen everything that comes in the box. We went over the basics of the actual scope and that ridiculous eye relief. Tell you what though, let's dig into that Griffin reticle. Let me show you how incredible this thing is. The Griffin reticle uses both a quick engagement ring for rapid engagements of targets and also has a precision chevron if you wanted to make turret adjustments for those accurate shots. And this reticle is actually super similar to the Raptor M2 reticle that I reviewed on the 1x8 PLX LPVO from Primary Arms that I'll link somewhere up here. I think it'll be up here. But the Griffin reticle takes the whole thing up an extra level. Just like the Primary Arms Raptor M2 reticle, the Griffin has both vertical ranging to measure target height to quickly get the correct range to your target, and the included horizontal ranging hashes to determine target distance. But unlike the Raptor M2, the Griffin reticle also has mil hashes and windage markings all the way down to 9 mils. And you may say, so what? Why does a hunter care about this? Well, by having the mil hashes, this allows you to use multiple different calibers at multiple different barrel lengths. So that really opens up a lot of options from both a battle rifle and a hunting scenario where you can now use one scope across multiple calibers and even those shorter or longer barrel lengths. And we've shown you a lot of BDC reticles where it has all the distances set for you, and all you gotta do is place the correct marking on the target at the correct distance. But that BDC is set to one caliber and generally set at one barrel length. So if you change to a shorter barrel, suddenly all the BDC doesn't line up unless you make some adjustments as you move out to some different ranges. And the Griffin reticle solves this problem by giving you the mil hash marks that allow you to use it on any caliber rifle or barrel length. So then it doesn't matter what you're using, as long as you go shoot out and get your accurate dope, you can really use this on any weapon system. To me, that's absolutely huge. And that's because I have some shorter barrel length 6.5 Creedmoor rifles that would make an absolutely dirty battle rifle. And this is crazy, but this scope has even more to offer outside of the reticle. Tell you what though, let's go mount it up and do some testing. I used the Warren 1.93 X scale mount in 30 millimeters to mount up this optic so I could test out this whole 1.93 craze. And whoever recommended this, I love you because this thing is awesome. Even prone isn't a problem at all. But I tell you what, I'm gonna skip the actual mounting process. I mount so many optics that it would probably be better if I just did a single dedicated scope mounting video. And I'll eventually link it up here, but if you have questions on the mounting, just put it down in the comments and I'll answer those until I finish that how-to. And I'll also add a short video of how I do my 3-shot zero that makes it simple with all these optics we test. All right, before we hit the range, let's do some of our actual scope tests. So the first test we're gonna do is actually gonna be on the turrets and the zero stop. As we saw in the unboxing, the turrets are an absolutely bonkers upgrade from the SLX line from Primary Arms. The turrets have a clean and crisp click that has absolutely no slop. These turrets have as clean a click as scopes 2 to 3 times the price. But these turrets also have that zero stop and that lock button that make it ideal for hunting or when you're hoofing it out at distance with a battle rifle. You don't have to worry about your turrets moving around, as you have to depress the center button in order for the turrets to be able to rotate around. And setting the zero stop is simple, as you just remove the cap and loosen the 3 set screws we saw in the manual. This causes the zero stop ring to loosen so you can adjust the turret to 0 and then lift the zero stop ring back up and tighten it down. Just add your cap on with the 0 centered on the cap. And just like that, you have the zero stop set to your 0. It's really pretty easy. And then you can just use the holdover or just do the turret adjustments and then use that precision chevron. It's bonkers though. I think these turrets are amazing. All right, let's look at our next test, and that's going to be the illumination test. The illumination of our 2.5 to 10 GLx Griffin differs from the 1 to 8 PLX Griffin in that our model only illuminates the center chevron. Now, this is one very minor bummer, but it's really barely even something to note. The center chevron being illuminated still makes those turret adjusted shots easy, and with a smart 50-yard zero, you'd be set all the way out to 200 yards without any adjustments at all. I would like to see that entire Christmas tree illuminated though, as I don't think it would be that uncommon to have that deer or hog shot when it's dawn or dusk and you want to use holdover. From a brightness standpoint, I found it matched all of the other primary arms optics in terms of brightness and was easy and clear to use. Now, it's not the brightest ever if you used it at like the brightest part of the day, but why would you do that? You'd want to use the illumination in a dusk or low light scenario when you can't make out the contrast of the etch reticle clearly. Don't think red dot, think scope. Okay, let's move on to the next test. Oh, this is a good one. The eye relief. One of the biggest advantages you'll see in some of these mid-range scopes is the absolutely bonkers eye relief, and the primary arms 2 to 10 completely nails it. The eye relief on this optic is the best I've seen yet. The 2.5 magnification is stupidly easy to acquire the reticle, and bumping up to the max magnification, it's just as incredibly easy to see and find the center reticle quickly. The eye relief is so good, and from a hunting perspective, this is awesome as you're not bringing up the rifle and then just fumbling around trying to get perfect and find your reticle. You just bring up the optic and it's already there. It's awesome. I wish I could just hand this to you so you could actually see for yourself how crazy this thing is. Anyway though, let's move on to the next test. Oh, and this one is just as bonkers. Yeah, this is the parallax test. The parallax of the primary arms 2.5 to 10 Griffin goes from 25 yards to 1,000 yards. No, it actually goes less than that. You can go to like 15 yards. You can focus on a target at 15 yards. Do you know how crazy that is? You won't see this in other scopes as they usually go down to like 50 or 30 yards as a minimum for the parallax. And most LPVOs have a fixed parallax at about 100 yards. Having a parallax with this range means that you can shoot at targets both close and long range, which makes it perfect for that hunting or battle rifle application. Taking a closer look at the parallax knob itself, it's clean and smooth to rotate. It absolutely won't move around on its own, but when you do want to change the parallax, the knob is buttery smooth, allowing you to easily set it to whatever your target distance is and get a clear image. And remember how important that is too. If your target is at like 300 yards and you have your parallax set to like 25, the image won't be clean and your shot will likely be off as your target and reticle won't be on the same optical plane. So yeah, big plug for actually setting your diopter correctly for your eye and then setting your parallax correctly for your target. All right though, let's look at our last test, and that's the glass clarity test. I took the optic out to the 600-yard range and was extremely impressed with how well I could see the targets. It was easy to even see the bullet impacts on the targets all the way down range. Interesting, there were some really cool guys out there who were doing some precision shots while I was doing testing that were trying to hit some really small gongs. And during this exact test, I was actually able to spot for them and help them not only see the impacts, but also use the mil hash marks on the Griffin reticle to give them correct impact adjustments to get on target. And remember, this is just a 10x magnification scope. And that should speak volumes for the incredible glass clarity of this optic. And the 600-yard clarity remains consistent as you move to closer distances, giving you an insanely useful optic that can see incredibly clearly both up close and at range. Well, I'll be honest, this optic is absolutely cleaning up on all these tests, but let's see how it does on the actual range. To get us started at the range, I did a quick bore sight and a 3-shot zero at 50 yards to get us lined up on target. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, I'll put a link up here on how I do that 3-shot zero along with the scope mounting video. Then I plugged in all our ballistic data into the Strelok Pro app with our primary arms Griffin reticle. So now we have all our correct holdovers on the Griffin reticle to match the bullet and barrel length we have with us. Kinda. I fudged some numbers to get us somewhere close. I think we're somewhere in the range. We'll see how it goes. I figured though that we just quit screwing around and just go straight to the 300 yard. Lining up our reticle on target was insanely easy, and 3 rapid shots all found our targets. And that was a little ridiculously easy, and it made me think, okay, 300 is easy, but what about close range, like 20 yards? I set up a close range target and engaged as quickly as I could. I was blown away with how easy the rapid engagement was with this optic and the 1.93 Warren X-scale mount combination. Shot after shot, I was able to engage with ease. The insane eye relief made the transition to the target stupidly easy. I didn't really think the 2.5 magnification would be that easy to use close range. Okay, so what if we go back to the long range and we go back out to some further distances? The mill markings let us easily go out further than 300, and taking a shot at 400 was just as easy. Now remember, there is some fairly fuzzy math that I'm plugging into our ballistic app, and this is with a 5.56. I did take some shots out to 600 though, and I was surprised how easy it was to see where the bullets were impacting and make slight adjustments to line up on target and strike the long range gong. I even took a few shots at the small targets that I helped the guys get earlier in the day, and after a shot I made a small adjustment and then I easily found the target with the 10x magnification optic and a 5.56 projectile. So this may be a silly part of the video at this point, but let's do the pros, cons, and if I recommend it. And the first pro are those badass GLx turrets. The zero stop along with the locking turret makes for an amazing set of turrets that you don't have to worry about shifting or rotating while you're trekking through the woods or tossing around with all your other gear. I think my buddy over Alaskan Ballistics even told me a story about how when he went hunting, he would just take a big piece of duct tape and cover over the turrets because he found the actual turrets would rotate and move as they rubbed against his gear when he was walking through the woods. With the locking turret, you don't have that problem, and you can easily make the turret adjustments and snap back to zero if you just want to move back to using holdover. The turrets just work really well, regardless if you're using the turret adjustment or the holdover method. But holdover is better though. Okay, on to the next huge pro, that short throw magnification. Going from 2.5 to 10 times magnification is about a 80 to 75 degree throw. It's short and fast. Moving from distance to close is just as easy as a 1 to 6 LPVO, but you have a whole lot more magnification power. The included mini throw lever bar gives your thumb a nice positive spot to bite onto to make magnification changes easy, negating the need for a throw lever that may get caught up on your gear when using it as a battle rifle or could get hung up on some brush when you're using it hunting. Alright then, let's move on to the next pro, which is the glass clarity and the parallax. The low 2.5 magnification and the close range parallax makes the close range shots simple to take, and the 10x with the stupid glass clarity makes these long range shots incredibly simple, all while the buttery smooth parallax brings it all into alignment. It's pretty rare that I'm this excited about a mid-range optic, but good grief. I mean, as I showed you earlier, I was even helping another shooter by making adjustments for his targets out on range just using this optic. But I think I could go on with pros about this thing just endlessly, so let's do one last huge one, and that's that Griffin reticle. With the quick engagement ring and center chevron tip, it's easy to do both close range engagement and precision shots. The horizontal and vertical ranging make it simple and easy to identify a target distance and engage with just the reticle. I had no issues with a close range or a long range target, as the reticle gave me a solution to engage either of those applications. Combined with the mill hashes and wind markings, it makes this Griffin reticle one of the easiest reticles to engage your target, as you can keep your eye on target while using the reticle tools to get the proper distances, and then take your shot while never taking your eyes off the actual target. And then you can use this optic on any caliber, on any barrel length, which really opens up even further what this reticle can actually do. But I guess we got to do some cons. So, I mean, I suppose the first one would be the illumination. And not the illumination itself, just that the center chevron is the only part that illuminates. It would be nice if the Christmas tree was illuminated. As I'm a holdover guy, that would mean I would have to use the illuminated chevron tip and then use turret adjustments when it was in dusk or low light, and that's just not ideal. Having the entire Christmas tree illuminated would be a huge bonus. All right, then the next con? I don't have anything. I'm really digging for something else negative about this scope, and I just don't have anything. Primary arms really did this thing right. All right then, so let's do the obvious one. Do I recommend it? It's absolutely a yes. I'm not a mid-range scope guy, and I'm over here absolutely blown away what I can do with this scope over multiple firing platforms. The entire scope is designed around the idea of quick short-range engagement or long-range shots for any combination of caliber or any combination of barrel lengths. This scope is the total package of parallax, magnification, turrets, and reticle, where all the different pieces complement each other and all move towards the same exact mission set. The 2.5 magnification gives you a baffling eye relief for those close-range shots with a parallax to match. The reticle lets you reach out further with an incredible glass clarity to give the 10x far more target identification than you're used to in this price bracket. And those turrets, along with the reticle, give you the option to use either the turret adjustment or holdover depending on your application needs. It's interesting as this optic gives you something that's more than the sum of its parts. It's absolutely crazy. I think you can tell how impressed I am with this scope. And I see a lot of scopes. So if you're looking for a hunting scope, or if you're looking for a battle rifle scope and you have some sort of weapon system with like a special configuration, I highly recommend you take a serious look at the Primary Arms 2.5 to 10 GLx Griffin mil scope. I think you'll be nothing but impressed, and it'll be incredibly easy to get some additional trophies to hang on the wall in your living room. Well, I hope my review of the Primary Arms 2.5 to 10 GLx Griffin was helpful in your purchasing decisions. I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. You're all amazing, and I really love all the support that you give us. And I want to thank everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what you think about this mid-range optic compared to those LPVOs. All right, everyone, Walsh out. When you have to hoof out to your destination and you want to... I am using some fairly fuzzy math that I'm plugging into our ballistic app, and I'm also doing with the